All right. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. We hope you have your food in hand and you are ready to sit back, listen to our panel today, and learn. So that's why we call it a lunch and learn, because we should call it a lunch, listen and learn, actually, now that I think about it, because I love my alliteration. But this is what we are at today. So just as an introduction, hearing from the most directly impacted is absolutely necessary in this work. We have learned that when those voices are in the room, better work occurs, better policies are crafted, better engagement is made. So it is absolutely necessary to hear from the most directly impacted. Our panel today are individuals who have said yes to sharing part of their story, part of their journey, so that we can all learn from it. Individuals, our panel today is made up of folks who have been touching the criminal justice system at a young age and have come out on the other side of that. And so we hope that by engaging in this discussion, that their experiences will guide us into better ways to serve and support our other young folks who are coming home. So who we have on our panel today is Mr. Stan Ross from the Positive Influence team. Mr. Ross is the executive director of the Positive Influence team based out of Cincinnati, and he is helping, the work of the team is to help build relationships with youth and young adults by shifting them towards a constructive and fulfilling lifestyle through positive transformation, personal development, education, awareness, and engagement. Mr. Ross provides group mentoring and coaching to those transitioning from confinement back into the community. He focuses on clients' strengths and help them find their inner power to succeed and move forward. Mr. Ross also provides relationship training to offender probation officers to bridge the communication gap. So all of that is what we have been talking about all of today. God works in amazing ways, right? Because none of our presenters coordinated, except for the last session, coordinated what they were going to be talking about. And isn't it amazing the threads that are pulled when we say yes and align in this work? Mr. Terrence White and Mr. Dante Ingram are also from the Positive Influence team. They are individuals that Mr. Ross has mentored over the years. And so they are experts of the model and the approach that Mr. Ross has developed within the Positive Influence team. So we're excited to kind of unpack that. Mr. Senior Pastor Toriano Henry he's a devoted servant of God, an inspirational leader, and a compassionate advocate for change. He is a graduate of Weinbrenner Theological Seminary, and he has dedicated his life to shepherding others through faith, service, and transformation. He currently serves as the senior pastor of Community Bible Church in Arlington, Ohio, where he guides the congregation with wisdom, humility, and commitment to spiritual growth. In addition to his pastoral role, Pastor Henry is the founder and president of Ever-Growing Ministries, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting the individuals as they navigate the challenges of re-entry after incarceration. Through his vital work, he embodies that spirit of redemption and hope, which is part of our theme for this year, and extending the love of Christ to those striving to rebuild their lives. So, with all of that being said, we are going to just start out with each of you taking up to 5 minutes to tell your own story. And so I just invite you to share your experiences with the system, how, in whatever way that you feel comfortable doing that. And so, Mr. Ross, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll just go around to Pastor Henry, Mr. White, and Mr. Ingram.
Okay. Well, good afternoon to everyone. First, Ms. Collins, I want to thank you, along with Ms. Jackson, as well as even Mr. Mike Davis, who thought enough of me and the work that we continue to do to be a part of adding value to continuing to build bridges and relationships that I think can foster something very positive and meaningful when it comes to saving lives or actually being able to do something that would make a difference in someone's life. Again, I'm Stan Ross. The title is Executive Director of the Positive Influence Team. We've been very fortunate to work with the Southern District of Ohio probation department here in Cincinnati. That takes us also to Columbus as well as Dayton. I also am been able to work with Hamilton County Juvenile Court with our youth that actually has given us a great opportunity to be able to build bridges, or should I say, do things that would be from an intervention and a prevention standpoint. So I'm very, very fortunate to be in a position that can help me to be a good talent scout for those who are in need of services and those who are in need of transforming to a better place to make better decisions in life. My first bit that I had as far as the system, briefly here, is I went to the federal penitentiary when I was 9 years old, 8, 9 years old. And people say, well, how did you go to the federal penitentiary when you were 8 or 9 years old? And I ended up spending from 8, 9 until I was 15, 16. And how that happened is I went to visit my father at Terry Hutt Federal Penitentiary. And with that, it brought on a different experience because what happened in the absence of my father was some behaviors that I was disappointed in the fact that my father was not around. I was disappointed in the fact that when I came home from school, that my father was not there. And he was a very strong man, a powerful man, and a very determined man to do things that he felt was the right way of helping his family. So that was my first bit. That's why a lot of people ask me, well, Stan, how long did you go to prison or when did you go to prison? I'll be like, well, actually, I never went to prison other than visiting prison. And when I listened to my father and listened to those people who said this is not the right place for you, I listened and I listened and I learned and I took that advice because they were showing me from an example you can make a mistake, but there's opportunities also for you to make amends. And so with my father making amends, he came back. He got himself a trade. He became a painting contractor with other collaborations of other skilled men and women. And then he started his own company. And from there, Penguin Painters was the company that he built here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and became very successful at being able to do that. He was a good talent scout, which is kind of comes back to me at being a good talent scout of those people who are willing to put in the work, participate in a rescue, and find the barriers and the obstacles that need to be removed, whether it's through employment or whether it's through types of groups that will allow us to grow. So that is a great example for me that I know that, we all can make it because I seen one person that made it and he was very close to me, and that was my dad. Of course, what helped me during the time was a lot of uncles and aunts, coaches, teachers in the community that really put me in a place to where someone said to me, Stan, you're going in the right direction, believing in the best that's in you, not the worst that has been done to you. So that helped me to get into sports, helped me to get into other types of community events. And that kind of, got me going in this direction where I, again, believe in the best that's in people, not the worst that's been done to them. So that's my little spiel. And I was trying to make sure I stayed under 5 minutes. Mhm. Okay, I think you're muted. We can't hear. Were you saying something?
Pastor Henry, would you please introduce yourself to our panel, to our group?
Certainly. Hello, everyone. My name is Toriano Henry, and as Reba shared, I'm the senior pastor of Community Bible Church here in Arlington, Ohio, which is Northwest Ohio. I'm also the current president and founder of Evergrowing Ministries, which is a nonprofit reentry organization that help incarcerated individuals navigate and reacclimate back into society. I came across this work because as a juvenile, um, I became engaged with the Department of Youth Services at the age of 13 and was in and out of various juvenile detention centers and group homes and foster homes and throughout this juvenile delinquent type of behavior and dysfunction. I stayed with many different family members over the years. And so there was an issue of consistency or a lack thereof in my life until I was finally incarcerated at the age of 20 and sentenced to a life sentence, of which I served 30 years of incarceration.
Mm.
And upon my release, well, I should say that it was during my incarceration that I came to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I am a Christian man. I have a biblical worldview and Christ-like vision as I look into the world and look into myself as well. I believe that that is critical and foundational to who I am. And I believe that it is critical and crucial to every individual, particularly those who have been impacted by the judicial system, to have a foundation by which to stand on, because anything that is the quality of anything that is built is determined by the quality of the foundation that it is built upon. And so I'm just excited to be here and to offer any type of insight upon my journey to where I currently am, to help anyone else in their journey to be where it is that their potential will allow them to go. And so I thank you for this wonderful and beautiful opportunity.
Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable, both of you, to start with. Mr. White?
Yes, how everybody doing? My name is Terrence White, and I have been a prospect of recidivism since I can say 1985. I was in and out of, incarceration, in and out, constantly, off and on, until recently. My last incarceration was a federal incarceration. I was faced with a life sentence. I was faced with that. So that's when I really started to realize and started to think, like I was ready to convert my life around, although I was in prison. And I went down to Terre Haute, Indiana, federal prison, and experienced a whole lot, and through that incarceration, that really taught me a lot, being transferred, flying here, flying there, flying here and there. And, it really taught me a lot and made me want to really, get my life together. So I ended up I had a 20-year sentence. I ended up going to prison, studying law, applying it to myself, filed my own appeal, and I had success, and I got myself out 10 years earlier. And ever since then, I came home like I didn't have employment for 30 years. I didn't have driver license for 30 years, none of that. But upon my release, I told myself that I was ready to convert my life and contribute to society and like youth that experiencing what I went through. And I came home. I got employed at a reentry program, and I started to work. And when I started to work, I saw the atmosphere of working people, and I started to enjoy that, because I was immune to a criminal lifestyle, and I never knew about like the honest way of living and nothing like that. So when I went and started working and being around these individuals, like I started to learn a whole lot about like human life, how to value it, appreciate it, and respect it. Like I used to work weekly and get my check on Friday, and I'd be happy, and I respected it, and I valued it, and it was something that I wanted to continue on doing. So I started reaching out to other organizations. I went to CityLink. It's a well-known program in CityLink, and it's like an umbrella of resources, housing, employment, help you with Medicaid, everything you need to get. So I joined them. I graduated from them. I'm a council member down there, and everything just been going good for me. Just been going the right way. That like I say, I never experienced this way of life. And I really didn't, I really knew that this lifestyle that I'm living now existed because I was so caught up in the streets and the crime. And, I had a money addiction. And, the money addiction is more serious than a drug addiction. If you constantly, you think about fast, quick money, but I realized one day, like, if I had all the money in the world and then nobody talked to me, would I be happy? And that really woke me up because why do you chase money constantly like that? It ain't, so now, I value I value my human life, peace. And, I just, like anything I can do to like assist people that then went through what I went through, like I'm here for them. Stan came into my life and, I went to the little meeting in Columbus and, everything has been going right for me. It's been helping me out. And whatever way I can contribute, like to the youth or anybody that need my assistance, I'm willing to be there.
Thank you for
So,
sharing.
yes,
I
ma'am.
love how you said value my human life.
Yeah, value it.
Peace in that, and
Yes, ma'am.
being exposed to a work environment. So it's a cross-cultural experience, right? It wasn't part of your culture growing up. So
Right. So I never experienced that type of lifestyle. And then when I got around people like that, it was like, man, it's a beautiful life. Like everybody I'm around, they looking forward to coming to work, getting an honest paycheck. I was involved in the streets. I was a quick fast. I never experienced this type of lifestyle. And once I got used to it, like after 2 or 3 weeks, I enjoyed getting up, going to work for that honest money, waiting on a paycheck, honest paycheck. And I valued it. I respected it. I appreciated it. Like I
that's
didn't just
awesome.
get it and hurry up and spend it because I knew I was gonna get some more quick money. And that meant a whole lot to me. Like it
Right.
changed my whole frame of thinking about life. And
Yep.
ever since then, everything been going real good for me. Like this the longest I've been out of prison straight since 1985. Like I've been out going on 4 years. And I've been
Congratulations.
yes, ma'am. Thank
Congratulations. Mr. Ingram,
Hello.
we invite you to share.
Hello. My name is Dante Ingram. I'm a mentor with the Positive Influence team. My story started, I first got introduced to prison when I was about 7 years old. My father was sentenced to a 15-year sentence, and that was my start of seeing what prison looked like. I used to tell my friends that my dad was in the Army. It was embarrassing to me. And in my neighborhood, there weren't a lot of fathers. And the fathers that were there, they protected their children and keep the children safe and we didn't see a lot of the dads. So in my neighborhood, we looked up to the guys who were making money, the guys who were selling drugs, the guys who were driving the nicer cars. And I fell into it. I didn't really have a role model with my father not being there. So the role models were the guys in the neighborhood. Those were the guys that I looked up to and that got me started in criminal activity as a young juvenile, stealing cars, robbing, doing all the stuff, how it starts. It starts small and it progressively grows. And I hate to say this, I wasn't bad at what I was doing because I didn't really get in trouble as an adult till I was about 28 years old. And at 28, I got in some trouble, and that's when I met Stan, Mr. Ross, and I got to finally see an example of of a man, because the men that I was seeing in my life were all negative. The things that I was looking at as positive things, the house, the car, the money, the drugs, the things that I thought were good, but that's what I was seeing. That was my recollection. That was my example of what success was. So when I met Stan and I got to see that Stan has a nice house. Stan has a nice car. Stan goes to work every day. In my world, going to work was like, you want me to go to work for $15 an hour when I can make $1,000 in 20 seconds. So like working just never made sense. It was like I had blinders to that. It was like it was like impossible. So when I met Stan and he started showing me some other things, it was like, Stan, I've been out the streets for a month. Give me a job. Where's my blessings? But I've been breaking the law for 15, 16, 17, 18 years, running around doing all this stuff. And you know what he'd tell me? He say, stay close, Tay. Like, stay close? What do that mean? 6 months in, I'm grinding, I'm going hard, I'm not committing felonies, I'm keeping my nose clean. Stan called me, hey, I want you to come talk at this thing. I want you to come over here. And I'm coming, I'm going. And I ain't making no money, but I'm going. I'm like, Stan, it's been 6 months. Where's my blessings?
No.
He said, bruh, stay close. A year in, I get a little job. I think that job lasted about a month before I got in some trouble. Lost the job. They had to come down, get me. The trouble at that, I wasn't guilty this time, but I got in some trouble. This the one time that it wasn't my fault. I promise. So they came, got me out of trouble. So now we about 2 years in. I'm following, I'm trying to stay the line. I'm staying close. And Stan calls me. And he says, hey, can you pass a drug test? I'm like, yeah, I can pass a drug test, man. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to get in where I fit in. Yeah. He said, come on down, holler at me. And I don't know what the job is because they had tried a couple of jobs, factory, this, that, and it wasn't really floating my boat, but I was just trying. And he called me down and he hired me to work with him, with the city of Cincinnati, with the SERVE program, to Cincinnati Initiative to Reduce Violence. And I became a street advocate and was able to mentor some of the guys in the Cincinnati area who were committing gun violence and gun crime. So that's kind of how I got started. And now, fast forward 2025, Stan's like a dad to me. We've been rocking this thing since 2007. Since 2007, man. And now it's like, I know that one person does make a difference. Because now I can make a difference in the people that I'm touching. And it's a beautiful thing. And I can keep talking. I got stories for days and days and days. I got a whole bunch of stories and stuff I can tell you about. I mean, this journey that we've been on has been a long journey. So
yeah,
I can run my mouth for days, especially once I get rolling and get into my
that's okay.
So I'm gonna stop
we'll have
there.
opportunities.
I can answer any questions, but doing this work, you have to. It can't be for the money. If you're doing it for the money, you need to go find you something else to do because this work has to come from here. My repayment is not the money. The payment comes when I'm out and I see a kid. Mr. Dante, I'm graduated. Mr. Dante, I got a job. Or I see people that we've helped. That is the win. That's the win.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm gonna shut my mouth before I go another 10.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being respectful of our time together and keeping us on track. So I do appreciate that because I know you all have so many stories that you could share. And so hopefully part of our work today is also to connect you with other folks, right? To provide those opportunities in those spaces. So we're all about co-laboring together. So thank you all for that. And if you'll, in the chat, people are, congratulations. Thank you for sharing your stories. So I want to turn to our theme. And each one of you have touched on it a little bit in your stories. Our theme this year is Home for the Future. The acronym HOME stands for Hope, Opportunities, Mentoring, and Encouragement. Okay, hope, opportunities, mentoring, and encouragement. Our discussion, I want us to center on these 4 things from your perspective, and because we think it's critical for young people returning to heal from their past traumas, become more whole as adults, and mature to positive contributions as adults in our communities. And these 4 elements are important in that occurring. So we're going to start with hope. And many people, particularly people of faith, which it sounds like most of you on our panel today are people of faith. And hope, we in some ways toss that word around from time to time, right? We give somebody hope. We extend hope to folks. And so, but I don't think we really kind of understand what it's that intangible, right? But guess what? Research shows that hope has some critical elements to it. And so Chan Hellman from the University of Colorado is a hope researcher. And he identifies hope is the belief that your future will be better than today, and you have the power to make it so. Okay, so let me repeat that. Hope is the belief that your future will be better than today, and you have the power to make it so. And in that, there are 3 components to hope. Goals, which draws us towards our future, making it better. Mr. White, you didn't really have many goals, right, around work because you didn't even know what that looked like to begin with.
Right.
And hold on. Pathways is the second one, refers to that ability to identify those routes towards those goals, which is where mentoring, I think, is critically important, right? Stay close, Mr. Ross, stay close. That's allowing you to have pathways, right, to occur. Agency, which is that ability, mental fortitude, and the resilience to sustain that momentum to move forward through the challenges, the hills and the valleys, because we're human beings, we all have hills and valleys, right? But having the agency to be able to navigate those. So when you think about your younger selves, which of these elements of hope, goals, pathways, agencies, were present in your life? I invite Mr. Henry to start, Pastor Henry to start. And then what were the sources of those goals, pathways, and agencies? Where did those come from in your young life?
Well, thank you. Thank you once again. And in my young life, when I look back, and as they say, is hindsight is 2020, and you have perfect perspective as you reflect back on your past existence. But for me, my past goals, as defined here, which draw us to the future and making it better, is I never had any set goals for my early life, within my early life, because I did not think that there was anything beyond what my current situation was. And so I did not have that. And then when we speak about the second term, where it refers to pathways or the ability to identify routes towards these certain goals. Again, that was something at that particular time that I did not even consider. I did not consider a path to a place that I did not even believe existed. However, when we get to that last element, agency, an agency, as defined here, is that ability, that mental fortitude or resilience to sustain a motivation to move through challenges. It's ironic that I possess that key because I always believed that there was a better place, that it could be better, that this was not it. But I did not have any person or circumstance in my life that would help me to identify a pathway and to set up goals to reach those pathways. And today, if I was able to speak back to that younger self, I would share with them these 3 easy and I believe very simple steps that can bring you into the manifestation of anything that you would want for your life. And very briefly and very quickly, those 3 things are: the first one is a commitment, which is just for me an internal resolve, a made up mind, a convicted heart, a resolute
Mm.
spirit that I will do better, I will be better, I will go further. Just an internal ambition is all it is. And the second step is a dedication, which sounds a lot like commitment. But for me, the dedication is an outward demonstration of that inward conviction, literally just doing what you say you're going to do. Begin to do something every day that indicates what your internal conviction is. And lastly, and this is perhaps the most difficult, but it's the most critical, is this third step after commitment dedication, is this: it's the willingness to sacrifice. And
Mm.
culturally, I've always understood that sacrifice means giving up something that you've always had. And that is sacrifice. But I also learned, as life has taught me, that sacrifice is not just giving up something, but sacrifice is also doing something that you've never done before, going
Mm.
somewhere you've never gone before. Because as we look at the future, in my own personal circumstance, and I dare say in everyone in attendance here as well, we've never met anyone who is from the future. No one's ever introduced
Mm.
themselves to me and said, "Hi, I'm from the future." So if no one has ever been to the future before, then the future means that it's a place where we've never gone to before, with people we've never met before, things we've never done before, places we've never been before. So how do you prepare for something that's completely unknown? And I believe that how you do that is making sure that your very moment, your literal now, is the best possible now that you can make it. Am I being everything that I need to be right now in this particular moment to make my future the better place? My now is
Mm.
what prepares me for my future. And so when we think about hope, and I'm tying it up here. It's hard to give a pastor a microphone, because when you give a pastor a microphone, he accepts it as a personal gift. Like, oh, you've so I'll be very, and so with you had mentioned hope and biblical hope in terms of faith. And in the New Testament, that word hope comes from the Greek word elpis, and which means, most people understand it to have an expectation. Hope is like an
Mm.
expectation. But I
Mm.
dare say that hope is more than an expectation. Hope is an anticipation. Hope is not hoping that something will happen. Hope is seeing something in your mind and knowing that it exists, and you are merely working towards something that is already in existence. So my hope is not based on some type of unknown. My hope is based on something that I have already seen in my mind, I've already entertained in my heart, and I've already grabbed it with my spirit. And my life is a momentum moving towards something that already exists. It's my hope. And so thank you
All
so much.
right. All right. Oh, look, you closed my lights down on that one. Mr. Dante, would you please share again the question? Thank you,
Let's
Pastor
follow that.
Henry. I know, I know. Yeah, yeah.
No,
Thank you, Pastor Henry,
that
for
was very
that.
inspirational and inspiring. What Mr. Henry just said as far as hope and all that was very beautiful. As far as like goals, and like my goal when I was a youngster was to play baseball. My
Mm.
goal wasn't to be a criminal that wasn't the goal. My goal
Hmm.
was to be a baseball player. And I
Hmm.
actually played, and I was actually pretty good. But the pathway, I didn't have a pathway. I didn't have
Oh.
a parent who knew to guide me this way. Go here, do this training, go to this team. I didn't have none of that. So I didn't have a path. And then I guess the agent that really stopped that was my peers in the neighborhood, in the street, that
Mm.
derailed me. Not having that pathway, there was they showed me another path. Another
Mm.
path was presented to me that was a little more clear. Here, you take these drugs and you make this money. You get to drive this car. That path was clear. And the agents were the people in the neighborhood, the hope was to my hope was to sell drugs, become rich, and then turn that money to clean money. That was the goal. That was the hope. That ultimately gets crushed when you realize that is a false hopes. It's
Yeah.
really false hopes. And like the pastor said, once you commit to something and you like for me, it was once I said I'm doing this and it's non-negotiable. The word for me was non-negotiable.
Mm.
Committed, dedicated. For me, was non-negotiable. This is gonna happen no matter what. And for me, that's when things start changing for me when things became non-negotiable.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. White.
Yes. All right. Well, for me, like he said, I never had any hope either. It was to me, it was like I'm here and I'm gone. I'm just here to live life, do whatever I wanted to do, and I was gone. I never had nothing really to look forward to. I was raised. I never knew my dad. I still don't know my dad, so I had no male leadership role or nothing like that. And honestly, I was just like I said before, I was just here. I was just living life. I didn't have no hope. I didn't have no sense of direction. I was just, just
Mm.
caught up in this in these worldly, affairs and just, just living life day by day. I didn't look forward to nothing. I didn't care about nothing. I was like either I'm gonna live or I'm gonna die. And, it's crazy to say that. Like I woke up every day like as I'm gonna die today. And like reflecting back at that and where I'm at now, it's like, it's a beautiful feeling though. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
my head on straight now, and now I got hope. I know where I want to go now. Like I want to be, I want to be the best I can be the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the right things and trying to help people and stop them from going through what I went through. So that's my hope right now, and that's what motivates me. Like he said, like that's the blessing right there. It ain't about the money I can get out of doing this or whatever. It's knowing you saved a life and helping the life and and you constantly doing the right thing and it's in your heart. I ain't trying to impress nobody or trying to make nobody look at me different, like, oh, he doing this. I'm doing this for me, and to benefit people. So right now that's my hope. I just want to be
All
there for
right.
people who I can be there for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Ross, I want to ask you a little bit different question. How essential do you feel hope is in the lives of the young people that you work with? And do we have a hope deficit in certain communities and among certain population groups?
Well, I believe that, with hope, I think about an acronym. The hope is helping other people evolve.
Mm.
Ah, wow. Ooh, that's a good one.
It's helping other people evolve. And when you do that, that means that you have to be an example of integrity. You have to look at the fact that even in my family, I mean, I had hope. I had a brother who actually saw the same thing that I saw, but he chose to go a different way in terms of rebelling. He didn't leave my mother a lot of room for her having to be a mom of now the responsibility of raising four kids without a father. And something that always helped me was listening. And
Mm,
even right now, I can speak and do it relatively well enough for you to understand. But I know listening skills for me. I listen triple the time that I talk because I want to
mm,
make sure that I understand where we're coming from, where you meet people where they are emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, the whole nine yards. And as Theodore Roosevelt said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
mm-hmm,
So, with that type of understanding and knowing that there were things that ran into my family that were negative, things that ran into my family that were, even my father back in the later part of the 60s, domestic violence wasn't called domestic violence. A man could put his hands on a woman and the police would come. And I witnessed that. And when people were saying you look just like your father, I was like, no, I don't want to look like my father when he's putting his
Mm,
hands on my mom.
mm,
So that transcended into I wanted to become a better person, and becoming a better person meant that I had to take on the bullies. I had to take on people who would try to deceptively deceive you.
mhm,
There's this, deceptive intelligence that goes on. And all I wanted was the truth. And
mm,
even to this day, that's all I want is the truth. And the
mm,
truth is that I believe that we are better together than we are apart. We just have to work through all of these barriers that kind of, as far as the pathway is concerned, it can get in the way. So, how can
mm,
I help you uncover the trauma or the lack of information or whatever it is to where you're not taking advantage of disadvantaged people because you know more or you got a formula that you're not sharing it with someone. Um, so for me, it's going to come back to being a good talent scout. It's going to come back to credible messengers with credible messages. I don't look at just credible messengers based on time that you spent of incarceration. I don't look at credible messengers based on the fact that you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I look at the credible message as you being able to be someone that where integrity shows a lot more than anything else, meaning that I can follow you home or wherever you go because sometimes
mm,
we can play games with each other to where the credible message can be very deceptive. The credible messenger can use it where they get the spotlight, and then next thing you know, there's something else going on. Well, I'm a protector of all that. I believe in win, win, win. And we have to do that in a way to where the next generation of people can see, wow, you didn't have to lie to get that job. You didn't have to lie to do this. No, I was being honest about what I've gone through, vulnerable. So my vulnerability becomes my superpower because I'm just at a place where, there's really not nothing you can do to me because I'm a giver. And don't confuse giving with weakness because it takes a lot of
mm.
strength to be kind to people, And so hopefully I've said something that is valuable to the question that you
Yeah,
asked me.
yeah. No, that's good. Thank you for that. We're gonna move on. I know we only have about 10 minutes left, and I'm sure some people will have some questions. I'm going to post in the chat this next question that was on our list to talk about. And so I want to hear from our co-laborers in this space. What do you hear are the essential opportunities young people need in their return? So we're going to let you all, we're going to do, what's it, crowdsourcing of information around that. So we've all been listening to the stories of our panelists. So what have you heard are the essential opportunities young people need in their lives? And some of it is to even disrupt further involvement or any kind of involvement. But then once they become involved and then once they return. And so, a clear pathway, unconditional support, active listening. Yeah. Grace, letting the youth know they're worthy of new chances, positive role models, guidance, love, support, all the, relationships,
Having faith in yourself.
having a faith in themselves. That's right. That's right. Okay. So I want to move on to mentoring because a lot of our discussion, a lot of things we're really talking about is mentoring. And I think we can all agree that we need mentors in our lives. Many of us have been blessed to have great mentors in our lives. But I think when we look at like mentoring, just from like young people, youth, let's just say, often we equate that with something having to do with school in the educational environment, right? We narrowly define that as mentoring for reading and, and those kind of things. But for mentoring our young people, really, there's a greater need that needs to be broadened and expanded. So I'm going to go back to you, Mr. Ross, and then to Pastor Henry, and then Terrence and Dante. You keep them honest if there's something they don't mention that you think needs to be mentioned. But in the conversations prior, Mr. Ross, you piqued my curiosity about this particular subject. Can you characterize a mentor versus a coach / advisor versus an advocate? Because they are not necessarily the same thing. There is a difference between a mentor, a coach, or an advisor, or an advocate. And then I'll ask Pastor Henry to kind of fill in as well with that. So if you could just differentiate those.
Yeah. Mentoring for me has been more of meeting people again where they are in terms of listening to them and really being an example of helping them to overcome the obstacles or to remove the barriers, but really be an example of what that looks like as far as mentoring. I'm not really trying to tell you what to do, but what I'm trying to do is demonstrate and give you feedback that would help you to make a decision to where I've touched your heart in a way to where you can say, I haven't thought about it like that before, as far as that type of approach. And to really be an example of what a person really is in terms of being honest. When you talk about the coaching, I think if it really depended because I coach youth kids and I was once a youth, and I knew the difference that a coach made when he cared about me in regards to helping me finish a play where maybe I got a little beside myself because somebody did something to me and I had to stay in the game. So the coaching helped me to stay focused and to help me to be a leader of recovering in a game that was about life, but specifically it was about that moment that we were, because football and sports was something that helped me to really hone in on my control of my anger and things that were going on with me emotionally. Okay. And then as far as um, I believe was it the advisory or
Yeah, or advocate.
okay, so then as far as the advocacy, I believe that's, you know, advocating for what's truth, meaning that when you have people who are not trusting of the system or have been through something to where they're not trusting the handoff, I need to
Mm,
be able to advocate for that person to where these services you can trust. I'll be able to advocate for that person that in being able to trust this handoff, I'm advocating that the system needs to be more youth friendly, but also understanding what the policies are to where nobody loses in that process. How do you educate the educators? How do you build a bridge so that we all can cross over in a way that is going to allow the example of I've done something for you. Now, how do you pay it back forward? Not making you obligated to me, but making you look at the truth and the spirit of what our humanity is all about.
mm,
So that's where the advocacy comes in because I'm looking at all sides. I have to look at all sides from a integrity standpoint. And you'll hear me say integrity, and I'll say that throughout the rest of my life because I just believe in doing what's right. And if you can show me another way of what's right, then I'll adopt that away. But at the end of the day, so many times it's not about black or white, but it's truly about wrong and right. And I
mm.
advocate for that in a very genuine, loving way that can create a positive relationship.
That's awesome. Pastor Henry, anything to add on to between the differentiation between a mentor, a coach, and an advocate?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Ross. I thought that was very insightful what you shared for us all. And I believe that that a mentee is the one who chooses their mentor. And the reason why I believe that the mentee is the one who chooses their mentor is because the mentee sees quality characteristics in that mentor that can help them become the person that they see themselves to possibly be. And I think that that's an important dynamic to consider, is to be mindful, to have an ear, to have an eye, to have a heart, to understand when someone is looking to you for intimate guidance in them becoming who it is that they see themselves that they can be. So I believe sometimes we can overreach by offering ourselves to be a mentor in someone's life. And as opposed to listening for someone crying out to us, asking us, would we be a dynamic relationship in their life because they see in us characteristics that they would like to develop in themselves. And so I think that that's an important dynamic for a mentor. And I think that I think it's the reverse for a coach. As a coach, I believe that the coach themselves sees characteristics in an individual and they draw those characteristics, those dynamic, those internal dynamics out of them for them to be the best possible person that they can be. Oftentimes we can see potential inside of a person, and that potential simply never comes to fruition because no one speaks to the potential and develops the potential so that person can reach their potential. So I think that the coaching is a person outside of that person looking to or inside of another person, seeing something and willing to help develop that out of the person.
Wow.
And as far as an advocate goes, I look at it as at the advocate position as a person who will be willing to verbally promote an individual to another source, be it another person, a company, a business, a franchise, what have you, to advocate on this person's behalf that they, in fact, have the skills, the internal design or whatever it is that they have that can make the individual that they're advocating to, um, that this person can be an asset to them. I think that was Mr. Ingram who had mentioned earlier, or it may have been Mr. White. I apologize for not remembering exactly which one said it, but and it could have been Mr. Ross, but it spoke about business and not getting into it for money, or the job is not about the money. It's about the quality of existence. In fact, I believe that was Mr. White because he had shared with us his prior addiction for money. And that when you go into business, that it's not always about how much money you can make, but how much can you increase the quality of a person's life by you offering their service. If you can enhance the quality of someone's life, money will simply follow that. So I believe that as an advocate, what I am advocating is that this person can add quality to your existence, and I'm advocating for them. I'm literally brokering, standing as the middleman between two vessels, which one can absolutely increase the quality of the other. And as an advocate, I'm also signing my name to the contract. Their success or their failure is hinged upon my name as well. Because if it fails, then they're not going to go to that person. They're going to come to me. Hey, you advocated for this person. And so I think that advocacy may be the critical part of it, because advocacy, I believe, is what builds our society. Is because as a society, as a culture, we introduce each other to one another. In fact, I know that I'm here, and I dare say that we all may be here because someone had advocated for someone else that we should be here. And we
Right.
have all come together and we've connected because we've advocated for one another. And now this advocation has manifested in this Zoom meeting and these ideas that are coming together that I truly believe will be a positive change to our cultures throughout the state of Ohio and in the lives of people. And so that's my idea of mentorship. I believe that the mentee chooses the mentor because he sees an example of what he would like to be. I believe that the coach chooses the person that they're coaching because they see inside of that person something that should be touched, stimulated, and developed. And I believe that the advocate is a person who presents another person to another person or a group for the benefit or the quality of that person or group.
Mm,
So I hope that I hope that
yeah.
wasn't too
This is all
busy.
beautiful. This is all beautiful. We're actually at our time, but I wanted to just, if we can all hang on for 5 more minutes, we can start the next session just a little behind, and that's okay. We want to make sure that we get what we need today. So in the chat, for those of you who've been listening, I want you to do a little self-assessment. Have you been a mentor or a coach? Have you been a mentor? Have you been a coach thinking that you're a mentor? But, right? Have you been a coach thinking you're a mentor? Or have you been a mentor acting like a coach? And have you been an advocate? So I want a little self-assessment, a little self-confession. Confession is always good for the soul, right? So, right, Pastor? So I have been a mentor now, right? And I think too, one of the things we have to realize is that we don't have to be all three, and we don't have to be all three at the same time with the same person. We can be a mentor. We could be an advocate that then introduces somebody to somebody who becomes their mentor, right? And so I think, you know, to the point of the discussion, I think it's important for us to align ourselves in that way. Again, we only have about 5 minutes left. Mr. Ingram, Mr. White, anything to add? Anything that was missed in the descriptions of mentor versus advocate versus mentor versus coach versus advocate?
No, I mean everything. I liked what everybody said. Everything was appropriate to me.
Okay,
Man,
great.
I think everybody did a great job as far as coaching. I've been a coach, a mentor, and an advocate, and
Me
it just
too.
depends on the arena. I feel like sometimes a coach is for a season, and a coach can get in your grill. A coach might have to get in your face and tell you what you did wrong or what you're doing right. It's different coaching styles. You might have coaches who hold a hard stick, and you have other coaches who coach lifting you up. So a coach, and then a coach, his job is to win the game. So he's coaching you to win. His job is to help you win. That's his job. He's coaching you. He's teaching you. He's training you. As far as a mentor, for me, mentoring is more about relationship. You have to build a relationship that is authentic. It has to be an authentic relationship. That's what mentoring is. It becomes an authentic relationship, because then once you build that authentic relationship, now you're open to listening to me. Now when I'm coaching, it don't sound like coaching. It sounds like, oh, this person loves me. This person is telling me the right things to do. It's not coaching. It's not coming at you a certain way. It's coming at you in a way that's authentic and that you can accept it. And as far as advocacy, for me, I do a lot of court advocacy with kids and adults who are going in front of judges and magistrates and things like that. So for me, advocacy is vouching. Like the pastor said, it's saying this person, in my eyes, has done this, this, and this, and is worthy of this. Advocacy is vouching for a person and having somebody's back and saying, look, this person's with me, so they get a pass because they're with me.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Thank you all for that. And that leads into my final thing around encouragement. And one of our presenters in Portage County, Dr. Megan Novisky, she's a criminal researcher with Dr. D'Amato at UCCI, said something really profound in one of our sessions. She said, those of us who work with them, who work with young justice-involved persons, have a lot of power in how they see themselves. Those of us who work with young justice-involved persons have a lot of power in how they see themselves. So I would like for each one of you, for the sake of time, to just name for us someone on your journey, just their name out, who encouraged you, who helped you to see
Dan.
yourself. Stan, okay.
My faith
True.
and belief in a higher power did for me.
Okay.
It got me on point and got me focused, you know.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Henry, Pastor
Yes,
Henry.
it would without question be Pastor Anthony R. Johnson from the Arlington Church of God in Akron, Ohio, without question.
Awesome. Stan, Mr. Ross.
Yeah, it would be Robert Lee Ross, which was my father.
Mm.
And I bring my father up simply because as he passed on, years ago, what he did is that he left he left a treasure for me. And it wasn't the money, it wasn't the diamond or rubies. What he left me was an example of how to live my life and how not to live my life.
Mm.
And everybody will have to leave some type of an example of what is good, what is not so good, and how do you recover from it. And the only way that I can do that is to practice love and forgiveness. So
Mm.
going from my father to our father, who
Mm.
actually gives me the great opportunity to be a great listener and a good talent scout. And I want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to hopefully for you to have gleamed into the hearts of these men, as well as you, Ms. Collins, that have, kind of moved the dial or move the wheel or whatever we're doing. We're going in a good direction. And I believe that hope still exists. And I feel good about that.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. Thank all four of you for helping move the dial, right? And move us forward, continue to move us forward. I saw some of you, some of our participants also put those people who have encouraged you to name them in the chat. I encourage you to do that as we go into break. And let's shout out reactions, hand praises to our panelists. Thank you all for being authentic, for preparing and speaking truth and guidance to all of us. You've coached us all today in this work. And so thank you for that. We are going to take about a 10-minute break.